Welcome into the 2023 Fantasy Baseball Preview for the Boston Red Sox. I am Dave Eddy, here with my handsome co-host, Connor Thomure. Before we get started, go ahead and drop a like on this video for us if you've been enjoying these team previews. We've been churning out one a day since February 1st, and we continue until we get through all the teams. You're going to want to subscribe to the channel as well. We don't just have these videos going on. We've got all sorts of things, all sorts of different sports. So I highly suggest that you turn on notifications. That way you can get an alert every time a new video comes out. And then lastly, our all access pass is now open and available. It's going to get you, direct access to our award-winning rankings, some really awesome draft tools that will help anybody in any league. And then, of course, we've got a private Discord channel where you can not only talk to, like-minded, fans of whatever sport, such as yourself, but you also get direct access to guys like Connor and myself, where we can chat about anything that your heart desires. So, Connor, are you ready to get into some Boston Red Sox talk?
Yep. Let's talk about those Red Sox.
All right, buddy. We're going to start off here, of course, with the starting lineup. And we got a new guy here at the top. Masataka Yoshida is up there, followed by Kiki Hernandez, Rafael Devers, Justin Turner, Alex Verdugo, another new guy in the mix here, Adam Duvall, Tristan Casas, Christian Arroyo, and Reese McGuire behind the dish will round it out. So I kind of think we should start with Rafael Devers. Clearly, with Bogarts out, I think he becomes, the guy here in Boston. So as far as, third base is concerned, how highly do you have him ranked in third base?
I'm a bit lower on him than most people are, I'll say. But at the top of the third baseman is stacked. You got like 5-6 elite guys that are all super good. But I put him fifth. I have Jose Ramirez, Machado, Austin Riley, and Nolan Arenado all above Rafael Devers. I just think the lineups that they are in they surround themselves better, and I mean, they're all have elite potential. So I think at that point, who gets lucky and has a better year and who has the better lineup around them, and I'm banking on Devers being the fifth guy.
I mean, I would even argue that you could push him down a little bit further even than that. But yeah, somewhere in that 5 range is where I think he's going to sit. He's a guy who is definitely going to help you all across the board. I mean, obviously stolen bases, not so much, but there's a lot to be said for a guy who's going to probably flirt with 300. He's probably going to be closer to like 285, 290, but in this day and age, that's a pretty nice average. Then on base percentage, he's not going to hurt you either. So whether you're in an average league or an OBP league, or if you're in both, he's going to be sitting in the 350 neighborhood. And while that's not elite, he's going to help you in that category. So, third base is really deep. So just because he is borderline top 5, that doesn't mean that he's, a bad pick. He's still going to go, somewhere in the second, third round. So still a very valuable player for sure. And then, I kind of feel like we need to mention Yoshida here. Obviously coming over to the States, you don't know exactly what you're going to get from him. So with that in mind for yourself, Connor, where is it that you would be targeting him if you would target him at all?
I think I'm going to be targeting him around the round 12, round 13 range. As a rookie, he is more experienced than like the other rookies that are in the league, obviously, because he's a little bit older.
Years old, so yeah.
I'm fine with him as like my third outfielder. If I got like 2 really good outfielders that I'm happy with, then I'll take the risk on Yoshida, because behind him it's still deep where you can have that backup option where if he doesn't pan out, you could still get some other guys that can fill in. It gives you time to fill in behind him. But yeah, around what did I say, 12 and 13 rounds, happy with me.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get him in the 12th round, let's just say, I would be pretty happy with that. Because one thing that I really try to, I would even say target, but one thing I really try to keep a strong focus on is making sure that, my peripheral stats, my ratios stay in line. And he's a guy who's going to help you with that. So if you can tell me that I can get a guy who's going to bat around 300 and is going to have an OBP in like the 370s, that's phenomenal. I mean, if you can get him, after the 10th round, yeah, you're not going to get a ton of power. I mean, 15, 20 home runs. So not to shake a stick at, but it's not amazing. He's definitely not going to steal you many bags, but that 300 batting average and approaching 400s on base percentage, I find that to be extraordinarily valuable.
Yeah, especially batting in front of Devers there, that'll help out a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, he might get a bunch of runs as well if he does end up leading off. And then let's round it out here talking about Tristan Casas. I mean, ultimately it just comes down to is this a guy who is going to stay at first base, produce well enough to maintain it all season long, and if so, kind of just how do you see the season shaking out for him?
So from everything I've seen out of the Red Sox spring training camp is that it looks like he is going to be the guy heading into the season, unless the spring training is just atrocious. But I don't see that happening. He can be that guy that secures the job throughout the season, but am I like really fully trusting him to do it? No. I have a hard time trusting any young guys like this, and he struggled in his breath of air that he had in the MLB last season, so it makes it harder to trust. But I am going to target him like very late in drafts. If he somehow makes it to the final rounds, then he's a guy I'm going to pick just based on his potential.
Yeah, he's a guy who I surely wouldn't be, satisfied if he ended up being my first baseman. Like, I don't see how I would let that happen.
No.
Probably not too interested in him even being my corner infielder, but I guess maybe. So let me throw you a curveball here and just say, if you had to pick between the two, you're up to pick. Let's say it's kind of later in the draft. You want to fill your corner infield spot. You're staring at Casas. You're staring at Spencer Torkelson. Who are you pulling the trigger on? Yeah, I know, right? That's
a curveball. Give me Casas.
okay. See, okay.
I think he has potential to move up here and be on this Red Sox lineup. While they may have been the worst team in the AL East last year, they do have room to improve, and they do have some players that can play well. And if he ends up playing well, I think in this lineup, I think he could be a top 15 first baseman if he really pans out. I mean, Torkelson can too, but I'm taking Casas.
So just for the record, we'll move on to starting pitching here in just a second. But just for the record, given the choice between the two, maybe I'm a homer. I would actually lean Torkelson. I just think his ceiling is higher, but just it's kind of the range that I'm looking at those two guys in. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on over to that starting rotation. It's full of notable names. I mean, most people know who these guys are, but it's more a matter of what we're going to get out of them. So we start at the top theoretically with Chris Sale, followed by Corey Kluber, Nick Pivetta, James Paxton is back apparently, and then Garrett Whitlock. So again, these are names that I feel like most everybody knows. Guys who at various points have either had a really good pedigree or were really heralded. We've had a lot of injuries in this mix. So it really comes down to, we're not worried about the skill level. All of these guys theoretically have a very high upside, but they're all, except for maybe Whitlock, but they're always hurt. Are you comfortable with targeting any of these guys, or would you even be comfortable with drafting any of these guys, let alone targeting them?
No, I'm really not. Like you said, their injuries, that's the biggest issue with these guys, and it's going to hold them back. And they obviously you want them to be healthy, but can you trust them? And the short answer is just no, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I had to put a bet on which one of these guys, would get 150 innings. I might say nobody. Of the group, I probably feel the most comfortable with Nick Pivetta. And he's probably the guy who at any point in his career has been the least heralded of the group, but he's probably the guy that if I had to take someone, that's where I would sit. He should be their innings leader. If this is a team that is competitive, I could see him leading the team in wins for that reason. He's also, decent strikeout guy. You're probably looking at about a K an inning. Doesn't have a major upside, but I think he's got the safest floor by a mile of this rotation. And that alone, I think, speaks volumes as to just how volatile, it is as a whole. And let's go ahead and finish it up here with their bullpen. Got a new name here right at the very top. Kenley Jansen, I think, locked in there as the closer. And his 7th, 8th inning guys, we're looking at Chris Martin and John Schreiber. The rest of that bullpen rounds out Tanner Huck, Joely Rodriguez, Ryan Brazier, Richard Blyer, and Cutter Crawford. I guess we kind of look at, the top here, Kenley Jansen, obviously, new closer in town.
Yep.
Is he a guy that, you're going to trust to, A, get enough save opportunities, and B, to be able to, rein in those save opportunities?
I am trusting him this year. I've always been big on him throughout his career. But yeah, I am trusting him. I know the Red Sox weren't great last year, but you don't always need a closing pitcher to get saves to be valuable. I think at a minimum, they'll give him innings and they'll give him some chances out there anyway, even if they aren't winning games. So I'm perfectly fine with him. Not as a top 10 relief pitcher anymore.
No.
Maybe more in like the 15 to 20 range. But yeah, I'd be happy with him as like my 3rd closer, or maybe even 2nd. He'll probably be most people's 2nd. If you have him on your team, he'll probably be your 2nd closer.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really comfortable with him as my 3rd closer. So in TGFBI, if I manage to get him as my 3rd closer, I think I've done good there. I think the best thing that he has going for him is he doesn't have a ton of competition for that position. So,
helps.
Even though the opportunities may not be there at the level that you would like, he's going to have to lose that position. I really don't see anyone taking it from him. Probably Tanner Houck is the most likely to do so, just because he does have a pretty good ceiling. But I mean, as it sits right now, he's not even, in a high leverage position. So I expect that he would probably make his way into that role, assuming he's healthy and, all that fun stuff with relief pitchers. You never know what you're going to get, but
you really don't.
I mean, that's kind of my thought there on Kenley. I think we're kind of in the same boat. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and wrap up our 2023 fantasy baseball preview on the Boston Red Sox. If you've enjoyed the video or you've been enjoying this series of videos, go ahead and drop a like on here for us. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That'll really help you out, especially when you turn on those notifications so you can get an alert every time a new video comes out. But we appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.